everyone, Cacti Man here. So, with winter rapidly coming and the changes that the new season brings, like lower temperatures, high winds, and all that stuff, I wanted to make a video on some tips on how to protect your dragon fruit during these few months. Luckily for me, I live in California where it doesn't get too cold. It gets only to about where I live, like down to the low 40s at the most, luckily. But I know some of you might live in places where the temperatures get way colder, like probably below zero. And if your temperature does get to that point, that's not good for dragon fruit. I want to say that dragon fruit probably does fine until around the low 40s, right? Low 40s, probably around 40 degree Fahrenheit mark, is kind of like the lower limit that dragon fruit can tolerate. Keyword tolerate. So if your temperature begins to dip around that range, you're going to either want to bring it in to like a greenhouse or indoors or anywhere you can. And if that's not possible, then what you want to do is what I've heard some people do actually is they drape a thin blanket over the top of their trellis. And that pretty much insulates them from the heat, just like the blanket would do us. And I heard people say that works for them just fine. Another thing to worry about is the super high winds that come around wintertime. I've seen people state that their winds probably reach around like 150 miles per hour, and that's no good for your dragon fruit branches, right? Like it's been windy here, probably around, I want to say like 100 miles per hour winds, and they've almost snapped this branch completely off. And they've also shifted my other branches, and you also have to watch out for falling debris like palm tree fronds. Just keep in mind that your dragon fruit can be harmed by the environment, and just plan accordingly, either by maybe tying down your pot to make sure it doesn't tip over, or some other means to protect it from the wind. Mostly you want to bring it inside if you can, if it's possible. Some other things to worry about are fungus and bacteria problems. Is that you notice around this time that that fungus really starts to affect your plants. And don't worry too much. It's natural around this time where the higher humidity in the air and the higher rainfall affects your plants. Just treat that accordingly. Just keep a lookout for that. And just be aware that happens around the winter time. And also, one more thing before I end the video is rain. Rain is pretty prevalent during the winter. So you want to plan your watering schedules accordingly and make sure that you know the weather beforehand before you do some watering. Because it maybe you're around 2 days due for watering, right? But you check the weather and it says you're having a rainstorm for the next 3 days. If it were me, I would hold out on watering for 2 days. Your plant can handle it. It's a cactus. It can do with a little less water. Cactus is kind of like neglect. And just let the rain do its thing and water your cactus. Because you don't want to water your cactus and then have the rain water it right after and have even more rot or fungus rust or stuff like that. So plan accordingly and make sure you know what's going on so you can help your dragon fruit get through the winter. If I missed anything, or if you guys have any questions, just let me know and I'll try to answer them in the comments. But see you guys.